Welcome, graduates, family, and friends. What a very strange semester it's been. It feels a lot like a movie, except it's been much too long and no one has bothered to edit out the boring bits. Our current situation makes it very tempting for a philosophy professor to try to offer some nuggets of wisdom to graduates, but you're going to be receiving that sort of advice from all sides in the coming months, so I want to do something slightly different. I'm going to do a little philosophy to try to show your parents what it is you've been doing for the past few years. The philosophical issue that I want to talk about has to do with perception. In particular, it has to do with the difference between what you're seeing right now and what you would see in a more normal graduation ceremony. Right now, you are looking at a screen and listening to sounds that are coming from a speaker. Right now, I am nowhere near you, and I am not speaking the words you are currently hearing. I may be kneading some dough or taking a nap. It's tempting to think that because of these things, you are not really seeing or hearing me. But there are problems in trying to draw a very sharp distinction between watching a recorded video and watching a live performance. You've all had the experience of seeing a firework explosion and then hearing the noise a half a second later, or seeing a flash of lightning and then hearing the thunder several seconds later. Did you really hear the explosion or hear the lightning? I'd say yes. These cases are simply ones in which the time delay involved in all perception is a little longer than it normally is. But there is no essential difference between these cases and those more normal ones. And the issue is not restricted to sound alone either. Many of the stars we see in the night sky no longer exist because their light has taken thousands of years to reach us. Looking at the sky and the stars is looking into the remote past, and hearing a clap of thunder is hearing the much more recent past. In trying to draw a distinction between really seeing me and only watching a video, it's tempting to appeal to the complications involved in the causal process that starts with my recording a video, proceeds through its being stored on a server somewhere, and ends with your clicking a button and watching your screen. But I don't think this appeal to the causal process and its complications is likely to work. When you see some trees, for example, through a pane of glass, the causal process is surprisingly complex. The atoms in the glass absorb photons and then re-emit other photons, and the light that reaches your eyes is not the same as the light that reflected from the trees. Still, who would deny that you are seeing the trees? So, are you really seeing and hearing me? I'd like to think so. Here's one explanation for why we tend to think the opposite. So much of what we see on screens and hear through speakers is fiction. Sitcoms, detective stories, horror films, and so on. So a lot of what we see and hear in those ways isn't real, in the same way in which what you see in a live theater isn't real. So it's tempting to say that you aren't really seeing me. But you do see the actors and hear them in a theater, and I think you are seeing and hearing me. Alas, a video screen is like a one-way glass. You can see and hear me, but I can't see and hear you, at least not right now. I really wish I could, and I hope that someday in the not too distant future, I can, and that I can shake your hand and say congratulations at the same time. Now I would like to announce the winner of this year's Jerry Miller Essay Award. Bill Richardson had for many years presented this award since he was a good friend of Jerry Miller. And it was Bill, along with a number of other people, who set up the endowment that funds the award. It was very important to Bill, and still is, that Jerry be remembered as a person and not just as the name on an award. So before announcing the winner, let me say just a few words about Jerry Miller. He graduated from William & Mary as a philosophy major with highest honors in 1974. And he went on to study law at Oxford. He was working as a lawyer in Milwaukee when he died in 1984 as a result of complications from a tragic accident and at a very young age. Despite his prodigious intellect and impressive achievements, he is primarily remembered by his friends for being a good friend. And it is because of this that they set up the funds to endow this award. Still, the award is for an academic achievement, and in order to win it, it is necessary to write a paper that meets the standards that were set by Jerry himself. There have been years in which no one has received the award because no paper was deemed to meet that standard. This year, I'm happy to say that is not the case, and that this year's winner of the Jerry Miller Award is Carl Huber for his essay entitled Innocent Threats, the Falling Man. Congratulations, Carl. Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Gert. I'm the current chair of the philosophy department. I do research in practical rationality, philosophy of perception, especially having to do with color, and a brand of anti-metaphysical metaphysics called neo-pragmatism. Now let me allow the other members of our department to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Victoria Costa. My research and my classes are on contemporary political philosophy, on theories of justice and political freedom, and normative ethics on theories of virtue, and in applied ethics and medical ethics and ethics of immigration. So I want to congratulate the class of 2020. It's been a lot of work this year in college, and today is a good day to celebrate.
Hello there. My name is Tim Costello, professor here in the philosophy department. And my main areas of teaching and research interest are in history of philosophy, especially the 17th and 18th century, and in aesthetics and the philosophy of art. And I also teach courses in other areas as well, including those that satisfy some of the color requirements for college. Looking down the list, I see that I have taught many, if not most, of the people graduating this year over the course of the last few years, and also had the pleasure of advising some of you. Hopefully my advice wasn't too bad. Sorry, of course, that it is just a ghostly version of myself rather than the real presence before you. But even so, I offer you my warmest congratulations and best of luck for the future. Hope to see you again. Bye.
Hello, I'm Professor Paul Davis. If we, the philosophy faculty, have done our jobs, then you, the philosophy graduate, are now knee-deep in the process of acquiring the skills and knowledge with which to live a good life, to become an ever more interesting person, to make some part of the world a better place for our species. So congratulations, and please keep in touch. But in the meantime, get out there, do good work, give us the satisfaction of knowing that we have indeed done our jobs.
Hi, I'm Laura Ekstrom. I teach courses in philosophy of religion, life and death, the human self, and free will and moral responsibility. I want to say congratulations to our graduating seniors. We're happy for you, and we're proud of your accomplishment. Please keep in touch. Send an email now and then to let us know how you're doing, and come back and visit us at our homecoming receptions. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Chris Fryman. I teach moral and political philosophy, and my research interests include distributive justice, immigration, and democratic theory. I wanted to say congratulations to all of the graduates and to thank you all for your hard work and perseverance. Best of luck going forward.
Hi, I'm Jonah Goldwater. I teach a range of classes here at the college, including freedom, critical thinking, and the meaning of life. My research is in metaphysics and political philosophy. I want to congratulate you today on your big day. I know the circumstances aren't perfect. You've done a lot of hard work to get here, and you should be very proud. Congratulations.
Hi there, I'm Aaron Griffith. I'm an assistant professor of philosophy in the department. My work is mainly in metaphysics, in philosophy of race and philosophy of gender. I teach courses on the nature of truth and its value, as well as the 19th century, and then I teach courses on the nature of gender and the philosophy of race. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Hi, I'm Matt Haug. My research interests lie at the intersection of philosophy of mind, philosophy of science, and metaphysics. I teach courses that cover those subjects as well as courses on neuroscience and ethics and data science. congratulations to all of you 2020 graduates. The world needs the skills that you've learned as philosophy majors. Of course, not everyone believes that, but perhaps it's part of our job as philosophers to convince them otherwise.
This is Noah Lemos. I teach ancient philosophy, medieval philosophy, epistemology, ethical theory, and a variety of other courses. I'm coming to you today from this safe and secure and undisclosed location to wish the class of 2020 congratulations. Stay safe, be well, and I hope to hear from you very soon.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Radcliffe. I teach courses in ethics and in 17th and 18th century philosophy. My research has been on the Enlightenment philosopher David Hume and his theory of the emotions and his moral theory. I've had a lot of students from the class of 2020 in my courses. It's been a delight to teach you, and I want to wish you congratulations and best wishes.
Hi, I'm Philip Swenson. I'm an assistant professor in the philosophy department. My research is mostly in ethics, metaphysics, and philosophy of religion, and I teach classes mostly in ethics and philosophy of religion. And I just wanted to say how much of a privilege it was to get to teach so many of the wonderful seniors who are graduating this semester. And congratulations to you all.
Hi, I'm Chris Tucker. I'm an associate professor here at William & Mary. It has been a pleasure having your children in my classes. I've enjoyed teaching them, and when I've been teaching them, it's been things like philosophy of religion, ethics, theory of knowledge, and critical thinking. When I'm not doing teaching, I also research in those areas, and right now I'm thinking especially about weighing reasons. Congratulations, 2020 graduates.
Hi, my name is Chad Bands. I'm a senior lecturer here at the college, where I've taught courses in metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, the history of philosophy, logic, and in my research I think about everything from the nature of truth and possibility to the ethics of climate change. Basically, I enjoy all things philosophy, and I hope that I've been able to inspire that in some of you during your time here as well. To the graduating seniors, I just want to say, yay, you did it. And you should be very proud of yourselves, especially during this time. I am very proud of you all. I just want to say my sincerest congratulations. Thanks.
Hello again. This year, the philosophy department is graduating an incredible 38 majors, many of whom are double majors in other areas. Of course, most of them are very shy, but about a dozen of them have been brave enough to record small videos in which they thank professors or tell us where they're going. So let me turn the screen over to them now.
Hello, my name is Caleb Atkins, and when the world returns to normal, I'll be joining Booz Allen Hamilton as a cybersecurity consultant. I just want to thank Professor Costa for really sparking my desire to study philosophy in college, as well as Professor Gert for his tremendous efforts to make sure that finishing up our degrees during a pandemic is still a genuinely rewarding experience. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in October.
Hi, everyone. My name is Henry Blackburn. After graduation, I'm actually going to be working on a political campaign, so I'll be keeping busy until we all reconvene in October. And ruminating on my time studying philosophy, I really want to thank Professor Fryman and Professor Davis for all their guidance, for teaching such great classes, and just overall being such wonderful people. So thank you to you both.
Hi, my name is Ailish Bova. I'm an English and philosophy double major. I'm planning on career searching after I graduate. And I want to thank Professor Griffith for being my first philosophy professor, Professor Costello for being my major advisor, Professor Fryman for teaching some of my favorite philosophy courses, and Professor Davis for making fun of Hegelians and theists with me.
I just wanted to say my farewells. I want to thank Professor Griffith for making my last semester feel as normal as possible in these uncertain times. I really appreciate his understanding and his dedication to making this class as great as it can be. I want to thank my advisor, Tim Costello. He's made my experience at William & Mary incredible. And I just want to thank the entire department overall for believing in me and making my graduation possible.
Hi, I'm Grace Burns. I'm a spring 2020 graduate in philosophy and public policy. This summer I'm going to be working in development and grant writing for a small sexual trafficking nonprofit right outside of DC. and in the fall, I'm traveling to England to pursue my master's in philosophy and public policy at the London School of Economics and Political Science, which is a mouthful. I really want to thank Professor Radcliffe for letting me annoy her during almost every one of her office hours, and Professor Costello for giving me an existential crisis every class.
Hello, I'm Michael Cairo. After graduating, I'll be continuing a career in physics in a government radiography lab. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all the professors in the philosophy department who have educated me. In particular, I'd like to thank Paul Davis and Philip Swenson, who have had a particularly strong impact on me. Paul Davis shares a passion for science with me, and Philip Swenson has an inexhaustible store of unusual thought experiments that never fail to delight.
Hi, my name is Luke Campopiano, and I'm a philosophy and history double major. Next year, I'll be working on a master's at the Scott Polar Research Institute at the University of Cambridge. I'd especially like to thank Professor Paul Davis for our many insightful conversations, both in and outside of class, and Professor Christopher Fryman for introducing me to the Institute for Humane Studies and for his many insightful thought experiments.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Holmes. After graduation and quarantine, I'm going to be working for a year while applying to grad programs in philosophy. Thank you to Professor Fryman, Professor Davis, and Professor Radcliffe for being some of the best professors I've had in college and for having wonderful conversations with me.
Hello, my name is Carl Huber. My goal for the next year is to travel around the country and sightsee, and then hopefully go to philosophy grad school in the fall of 2021. I'd like to give a special thanks to Professor Vance and Professor Costello. I've really enjoyed your classes over the past few years, and it's been great having you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Keaton Lee. I'm a graduating senior. Next fall, I'll be going to the Harvard Kennedy School to study public policy. And I'd like to thank Professor Haug for guiding my independent study on sleep, dreams, and the phenomenal self.
Hi, I'm Nora Pollard, and I'm graduating this spring as a double French and Francophone Studies and philosophy major. I'd like to take this moment to thank Professors Radcliffe, Lamos, Davis, Griffith, and Goldwater for teaching me so much during my time here at William & Mary. I'd also like to give special thanks to Professor Vance, with whom I've taken 3 memorable classes. It was actually a class of his I took my freshman year that convinced me to become a philosophy major, so I'm particularly grateful to him for that. Thank you all so much again, and best of luck.
Hi there, I'm Jiao Xie. I'm from China and a double major in philosophy and psychology. Technically, I'm graduating in December, but right now I really want to offer my fellow students very warm and happy congratulations. And I really want to say thank you to all professors and students in the philosophy department for making me tough, strong, and reasonably determined. It has been a great experience. From now on, I will carry my heavy head and my heavy spirit with me, and I hope to do good things. I hope everyone can stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Other majors who would have been marching in our ceremony this year include Kobe Arndt, who wished to thank Professors Fryman and Lamos, Hans Carden, Theo Chambers, Echo Chen, Katsuki Clevenger, Charles Cooper, James Crawford, Luke Erdahl, Graham Ferguson, Jonah Frost, Cameron Howe, Connell Kavanaugh, Ben Kuhn, Poe Makabata, Joseph Neumeier, Young Woo Park, Nolan Peters, Zane Petrus, Yasmin Samari, Ale Santander, Mikala Stafford, Zeke Tall, Robert Taylor, Noah Terrell, William Watkins, Rochin Yang, and Ted Yang. Congratulations to you all.